In collaboration with the University of Rio Grande Community College, and the Ohio State University South Centers, we proudly present a series of different broadcast TV and radio shows that highlight different aspects of small businesses. Our co-hosts include Ryan Mapes, Endeavor Center Manager and Program Leader with the Ohio State University South Centers, Mike Thompson, Director of the Instructional Design and Media Services at the University of Rio Grande, and Brad Bapst, Small Business Development Center Director with the Ohio State University South Centers. Small business owners and guests discuss information that is strictly business.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Strictly Business. Today we have a great show lined up for you, and we also have a special co-host today, Kevonta Black, who has a big day coming up, I believe in a week.
May 7th. Yes,
May 7th. What's that day about?
That's the day that I graduate, which is a big day for myself because, you know, it's going to be pretty much a memorable day for me because I'll probably be the first person to graduate from my family.
That's great.
So that being said, it's going to be a pretty big day for me because, like I said, my family's going to be there. No one's ever graduated before, so.
Pretty special day.
Yes, it is.
So what's your major?
Business management is my major, and I also minor in finance.
Finance, and those classes were easy, I assume. Breezed right through those.
Not exactly, but I got through them. As I can say, I did get through them. It was pretty. What's the word that I'm looking for? Maybe
hard.
Yeah, it was pretty hard and challenging. That was the word I was looking for. There it is. It was very challenging, but I was able to overcome the challenges and actually be able to exceed in all my classes. So
good.
I'm glad to be able to walk across that stage in a week.
Great.
So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Not everybody gets that chance.
Yeah, not at all.
So do you have plans after, you're from Nashville, Tennessee. Do you have plans after graduation?
Yes, I plan to go back home, obviously. Yeah. And I want to be a budget analyst.
Sure.
Which is that is a field that my mom is in. And she works for the federal government building back in Nashville, Tennessee. And I actually been applying for jobs there at the same building that she works for, but I mean, I don't have an exact job, but that's the job that I would rather prefer to work because I've been helping her out a little bit over the years, and I have a little bit of experience, even though it's not the right way to get the experience, but I do have a little bit of experience by just learning from her and just being at work with her sometimes over the summer and just knowing like some of her job description of what she does a little bit. So just that's the reason why I want to go into that field. But if I don't, I mean, I'm not mad or anything about that. Just basically, if anything comes up, I should be able to learn and adapt.
Start and move your way into
it. Yeah, pretty much.
It's interesting you say that. Today our guest is Kristi Kinnard with Career Connections Incorporated. And we had a lunch prior to being here, and we talked about that exact same thing. Once you graduate, what do you do?
Yeah.
And Kristi's going to give us all the information you need about getting hired, getting that right job that suits you, and that's what her business is. So at this time, I'd like to welcome Kristi Kinnard. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about what you do and your business and how it got started?
Yeah, so I work for Career Connections, as you mentioned. We are a staffing agency located in Southeastern Ohio. We have 2 locations, so I travel back and forth between Athens and Gallipolis. But what we do is we work with employers or companies, small to big, whatever size they are, to help search and find qualified candidates. So whether it be a manufacturing position to a CFO of a financial institution, we're helping them build job descriptions, search for candidates, identify what they even might need, and then start a recruiting process and a referral process for those candidates. So we're sort of a service provider to businesses, but a really great avenue for job seekers of all variety of skill sets to pursue for positions that we might be working
Sure, you
with.
work with college graduates to unemployed individuals to
Yep.
career professionals that administrative roles even. And
Yeah,
higher.
we do. We have fresh graduates that come, especially this time of year. We have administrative and clerical type positions, CSR openings to executive and management level positions as well.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I noticed some of the services that you provide, temporary personnel, direct hire, and then payroll assistance for, so you might explain.
Yeah. So we work with companies to identify what their need is. If it is a temporary need, what that typically means is they have a seasonal peak period or a project that needs completed, or even covering for medical leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And so we not only help them find the qualified candidate, but we also will have them be an employee of our company. So they're working there, reporting to the company, but we add that convenience to the employer of not having to worry about payroll taxes, insurances, and all those things that employers have to deal with on a day-to-day by being an employer. So we take all of that off their shoulders while they're still getting the talent in that position and doing the job. Whereas direct hire placement is more of, can you help us find the candidate, but once we do locate that individual, they hire them onto their payroll. So we sort of customize the service that we do for each company. It just depends on what your need might be. Payroll transfer is essentially, we have a candidate that we want to hire, but we can't or would take too long to get them onto our payroll, so they ask us to do those services for them. So they've done the recruiting and screening piece, we're just doing the payroll piece. So that way we can be compliant with tax laws, with insurance laws, and workers' compensation, health insurance, whatever that might be. But again, they still don't have to worry about all those added steps.
Well, and what a great service that is just a small business owner myself. The payroll, the taxes, the hiring, and I mean all that together is, and being a small business development center counselor as well, you meet with businesses that they really enjoy doing what they like to do, whether it's if they're manufacturing something or if they're hanging drywall or whatever it might be, lawn care business. They're really good at that. But when it comes to the taxes piece and the correct paperwork, and that's really a great service that you can offer there.
Yeah, I think from my experience, smart, entrepreneurial-based individuals can usually figure a lot of stuff out themselves. They can go online and research websites and figure out tax laws and hiring, best practices for hiring and searching and what recruiting outlets they should do. But in my experience, in small business, you have so many things going on. You have so many things you're focusing on, and if you're transferring that attention and energy to searching and finding somebody, you're really taking away from the biggest piece of your business, is what you do best,
Sure.
Whatever that service or product that you're producing. And so that's what we do for our clients. We try to say, we know you can do this, but let us take this off your plate. We'll do it for you, and then you can focus on your operations, and we'll involve you when things are a little bit more organized and ready. But they're still calling the shots. They're still controlling and giving and telling us what they want. So we're still, because hiring is a very personal thing for a lot of companies, especially small businesses and growing businesses, because they put a lot of passion and energy into their company, and they want to make sure that their people they bring on board feel that same level of passion.
Sure. Yeah, and we've actually had that exact scenario with one of our clients just within the last month, that their business had grown to the point of they were no longer able to, I shouldn't say no longer able to, but it was taking a lot of their time to actually run the business and then go out and make the contracts and manage all the employees and taxes and things like that. So they've had to take that step back away from the business and kind of go that route. And so what types of companies are out there? Do you work with all types of companies with?
Yeah, we do. We work with just about everything. We will, most of the, we use big, ginormous companies who have maybe seasonal peak needs. That's where most of our temporary staffing comes from. The needs that those positions are seasonal because they have a large project they need to get through, or they have a busier season, and so we work with them on identifying what those needs are, hiring those individuals and making sure that they meet their deadlines. And so we're doing mostly temporary staffing for those companies, manufacturing companies, even academic institutions that have peak periods as well, whether it be reviewing applications to apply or, and then a lot of our clients are small businesses, like I mentioned, who really just don't have the time resources to perform the search. And so we're doing admin level positions like that for them. And they're looking for, long-term permanent hires for their company to grow with them and not just temporary. Now, statistically, though, we spend a lot of time researching and recruiting people who have potential to be a long-term permanent candidate, even though we're referring them for what might just be a temporary need. And so we have about 1 in 3 of our strictly just temp positions end up turning into permanent. You get your foot in the door there, the company sees that you're adding value, they're going to find a way to keep you. And it gives that job seeker an opportunity that they might not get if they're competing for a permanent position. They get their foot in the door through a temporary role, and they show them what they're made of, and they say, well, you're fantastic, let's find a way to keep you. And so it does give the unemployed and the unexperienced a really good foot base for them to get considered for a permanent position.
Yep, that's awesome.
Hint, hint.
So once you find out what exactly your customers are looking for, do you give them multiple options to choose between, or do you try to find the best one job that they need?
Yeah, we do give the job seeker or the company?
The job seeker.
Yeah, the job seeker, definitely. So when someone applies with our organization, typically what got them through the door to apply was a specific job description they saw posted somewhere. We do a lot of recruiting. But ultimately, the reason that we schedule people to fully screen them through our process is because we've identified them as a candidate that has a skill set of jobs that we typically see come through our 2 offices in Athens or Gallipolis. So we know what we typically get, job description-wise. We know the businesses in the area. So if we have someone that applies that's looking for something very different, we might not pursue the process with them at this time. So if we do that process, they're kind of getting registered in our database to be referred for any position. So if you go through to get screened, you're basically just saying, hey, here's my skill set, this is what I'm looking for. And people can be picky or choosy. Some people are very open. And then if we have that position that comes through, then we alert them about that through various forms of communication, email, social media, phone, whatever we find. And then if they are interested, then we consider that an application, an additional application for their job search. And then we go through that process of identifying the most qualified and then making recommendations to the company. So it's completely and 100% free for the job seeker. And that's, I think, what a lot of people don't understand about staffing agencies is that, what are you going to take out of my paycheck? What's the fee? What does this involve? What dotted line do I have to sign? This is, it's your effort. You're putting forth the effort. We're just organizing paperwork. If you are the most qualified, a company will spot you, interview you, and hire you. We are not the decision makers in that regard. We decide who to screen, because we know what kind of skills are popular amongst the employers in this area, but the decision to hire is coming out of the employer. So you're still doing it yourself if you're a job seeker.
And now, what if you have the ones that, because you do have ones out there that don't like to meet in person? Do you help? Do y'all provide information over the phone for job seekers to be able to find their jobs if they're not able to come in and actually see you face to face?
We do. Our screening process to refer candidates is very thorough, and it does 99% of the time involve a face-to-face interview with one of our managers on our team. However, we do national searches on occasion for companies who are bringing people in that might be attractive enough for relocation to the area. And when we do those kinds of searches, we do open up things like video interviews because our part is just a process interview. So if our information gets them an interview with the company, then that would require them to travel and come into the area. But typically, our process involves a quick phone screen where we talk to people over the phone. We do a face-to-face interview if we've identified them as a viable candidate. We check references, we do skills assessment testing, and then we recommend them to the company. So that one of those steps does have to be done in person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and what a great time saver to the company. I mean, that, again, as we talked, it allows the company to focus on what they do best and not take time away from the hiring process and the paperwork and screening. And so there's contact information. The way they would get a hold of you is on Website?
Yeah,
primarily?
You know what, we're just sort of open to any way you want to contact us. We have our website, which is www.careerconnections.info. And we have 2 locations. We have the office in Gallipolis downtown, right next to the beautiful city park, and next to Pippin Hud's if you want to get some frozen yogurt. And then you'll see our team there in Gallia, our Gallia office there on the screen. And then we have our Athens office, which is 280 East State Street, and that's right next to a really nice bakery and a cafe if you're ever in Athens. And that's our Athens team we're looking at now. The Athens office has been open since 1990, so that group, we obviously have a larger group there since we've been open for a number of years. The Athens office has been open for almost about 3 years now. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And you mentioned you had 160-ish
Yeah,
employees?
we fluctuate based on the time frame. We have 15 internal permanent employees at Career Connections, those that are working on the services that we provide.
Right.
But between the 2 counties in Southeastern Ohio, we have anywhere between 120 to 150 temporary employees working on and off our payroll. Those individuals are working at those businesses, but technically on paper, they're employees of Career Connections.
Right.
We give their paycheck, we give their W-2 at the end of the year, and we work with that company on typical employer steps.
Sure.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, as far as having an opening inside your company, do you put your own jobs on the website also?
Yes.
For when
We
if
practice
you have
what we preach.
Yeah. So if
We-
you have an opening on your own company, you also put them on there also.
Yeah, that's a
And-
great question. Yeah, we do. We absolutely do. We actually are searching for an internal staff member now, in fact, and I do the same process.
you go.
We've customized it and built it to our screening process to be as thorough and as efficient as possible. And so we'd absolutely implement the same strategies for ours, which includes our job postings page and our recruiting strategies.
Okay.
So yeah, absolutely.
Good. And this is probably a busier time of the year, as you mentioned, in Athens with OU, Ohio University, Gallipolis with University of Rio Grande. I'm sure you get an influx of applicants.
Yeah, we definitely do. Graduation season definitely keeps us busy. I'm sure they're all wanting me to be back in the office with them today, as I left them in piles today. But we do. We certainly have a peak period of applications during graduation season, and I just think, just in general, springtime brings this fever for change, whether it be to change jobs or start a job search. So we definitely get a lot of applicants of all ages and of all experience levels looking for work right now.
Yeah.
And employers too. I think, obviously seasonal needs start picking up when the weather gets warmer for contracting companies and things like that, but things just get busier this time of year, and so people want to hire and find new talent. So
Yeah. Okay. Kind of switching gears from the applicant side to the company side. What is your coverage area? In other words, what counties would you serve that have the businesses that you could place folks in?
yeah, we have the 2 offices I mentioned in Athens and Gallipolis. We opened up the Gallipolis office because we had a strong client base here, and while we had the client base here, one of our process steps involves the face-to-face interview, and we found that it was very difficult to recruit individuals for our process of screening without having a local presence. And one of the biggest things in our business model is to be extremely involved in the community. So every one of our managers will be get involved. They go out and they volunteer, they serve in the community. We give back to the business community that gives to us. That's a very, very important part of what we do. And so I'm from Athens. I'm born and raised, I live there, and I know what that means to my community. And so when we decided to move to Gallipolis and be present, we wanted to be present. So we hired, 2 local, individuals, one born and raised here, lived all of her life, and also feels very passionate about doing that same thing. And so, and we've encouraged her to do the same thing, and she gets involved in a lot of different stuff. So those businesses that we service for the most part are within about a 5-county region: Athens, Meigs, Gallia, Jackson, Vinton, and sometimes Washington County.
Sure.
Because those are areas to which the candidates have no problem driving to one of those offices and interacting with our process so we can refer them. That isn't to say that we don't service elsewhere. We have some companies whose corporate offices are in that area, but they work outside areas, and so we work with them on those needs too. But primarily, we want to be locally present where we're also serving, and that's important to us, so we typically stick with that area.
Okay.
So how exactly did this company get started? Can you give us a little bit of history on the company?
Yeah, absolutely. So the company started in 1990. It actually started and I get brought to its success today by my mother, Valerie. And she owned a word processing company at the time called Word Tech. And at that time, computers were not everywhere. They were in very few places. And when they were there, they were very, very expensive. Yeah. And so she had a word processing company where students at the university, at Ohio University, would come and give her dissertations and thesis for them to type up and edit because they couldn't afford to have a computer. And even some of the OU offices at the time didn't. So now she had the staff of fully trained typists, and then university departments were asking to borrow them to type at their offices. So she was lending her employees to them. Sort of the terminology of temporary staffing was born because she billed them for her employees to work there. And so it kind of evolved into this staffing agency, and that's when Career Connections started. Sure, okay. So it was sort of it was a service that was needed, and she could see that and made it happen, and pulled in resources and some expertise from individuals that had experience in that area, and then here we are today.
Cool. Do you have any success stories you'd like to share?
Success stories. Well, I think, on the job seeker side, a lot of what we do is very confidential.
Sure, we understand. Yeah. We live in that world too. Yeah,
so a lot of what we do is very confidential, but I will just generally say that for me, my biggest success story is the people that I work with and the team. I feel like everybody there that comes to work, and I hope the temporary employees that we place in those positions feel like we have a community and a family. Mm-hmm. Because I think working in temporary staffing is very difficult because you feel like you don't really belong to anybody. You're working at this company, but you're not really their employee. And you're an employee of Career Connections, but you're not really there with them. And so we do try to give back, tell them how much we appreciate them, and we implement the same model to our internal staff. And I feel like we have a very, just leaving today is Administrative Professionals Day, mm-hmm. so be sure to thank people that you know that are there to support you, and just telling them, reminding them that we have a good place to work. And I feel like everybody has that feeling, and since I came on board to general manage that office, I feel like that's the feeling everybody has, to come to work but not, they want to come.
Sure.
They want to be there. Yeah. They want to participate. They like to give back. They like and agree with our values as a company. Yeah. So.
I know we're running a little bit short on time, so much information to get out there. Yeah. So I know with your business you have kind of a two-pronged approach. You have the staffing side, and then as well you have what's called Next Step. Can you explain a little bit what Next Step is and how it can benefit potential job seekers?
Yeah. So we have, for a very long time, a lot of individuals were just a little bit confused about what Career Connections did. They thought we were out there advocating for the job seeker, helping them find work, mm-hmm. but we are a business service, so we're there to help the companies. And so, but there was that need. Again, just like the way Career Connections was born, we saw the need. The job seekers wanted an avenue to ask for advice and expertise on job seeking, as it can be a very difficult, scary world. And so Next Step was born. We have it's basically there to help individuals maximize their potential. So they have interview coaching, resume preparation. They will help you make sure that out there on the social media world, you are what you think you look like and not this version of yourself. And so the coordinator, Kristen Franks, she works one-on-one with individuals as a service provider to the job seeker, mm-hmm. to make sure that they're putting their best foot forward, because you're really investing in that job search. You really want to find something that's right for you, and so she helps them navigate that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And why is that? And why is that exact? What did you say exactly? It's
called Next Step.
Next Step. Why is Next Step exactly that important for job seekers to know that it's there for them?
Well, I think that Next Step, what it offers is a place for you to sit down where you're not interviewing. This person's not across the table judging you and critiquing you and thinking about hiring you. She's there from a very peer evaluation perspective. She wants you to do a good job, get a good job, and some people don't get jobs because they don't interview well. It doesn't mean that they're a bad candidate for the position, and she wants them to be able to see that potential. And sometimes it might just be reorganizing the way the resume looks, because she knows what the industry standards are. She knows what looks better on online databases, so she just gives those tidbits that she knows and makes sure that the candidate knows that, and in the form of what her research is.
Okay.
I know we've got maybe 3 minutes left at max. When I was on your website looking at just the different services that you offer before the show, I saw a couple things that caught my eye. One, referral contest. I think that's on actually both sides, on Next Step as well as the staffing piece, and then tip of the week.
Yeah.
So I know that those could be two things, especially the tip of the week, if folks got on there, and so you might explain a little bit about what those are.
Yeah, so Kristen, who's our Next Step coordinator, she puts together the tip of the week. So she just finds topics that are common with job seekers, and she puts forth some kind of article that she prepared or summarized and gives some reference points. And they're really interesting. I read them kind of religiously every week for me, and I'm not a job seeker. I just find her content very inspiring and interesting to me. I mean, I'm in HR, so that's true. So it's just a free newsletter. You can go onto the Facebook or our website and sign up for it. It's very simple. And then the same thing with the referral contest. We obviously hire people, and if they refer people, we reward them with gas cards, Kroger cards, you name it, because that's probably our number one way we find great candidates.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Sounds like a really interesting business.
Yes,
Keeps
it
you
does.
busy.
It does.
Definitely keeps them
Lively.
busy.
And a variety. You get a nice variety of working with all the different companies, kind of like what we do as Small Business Development Center counselors. You never see the same company twice. I mean, it might be in the same field, but they're all unique.
Yeah, definitely.
So anything, Kevonta, anything you'd like to add or ask? We've got about 45 seconds left.
Before we go, I'd just like to ask, is there any advice that you can give the job seekers or employers as far as if they for seeking a job, or pretty much just coming to talk to you and what they need to provide themselves for when they do come and meet you face to face?
Well, for job seekers, for our process, just to be very open-minded. Know that we are a service provider. We are working for companies, staffing agencies everywhere, here and anywhere you might go, are a very great resource, and I can't stress that enough. Most of them don't charge fees, and they are assisting you with job opportunities to help give information about what's out there. It's a great place to start. It really is. So.
Well, I think we're out of time, but we'd like to thank Kristi for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
I'd like to congratulate Kevonta for graduation next Saturday. Good luck to you.
Thanks.
And thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it.